Good morning, all. In today's session, we will learn about properties of discrete time Fourier transform (DTFT) along with another transform, that is discrete Fourier transform (DFT). So, in the last class, I think we have discussed in detail about this discrete time Fourier transform (DTFT) and some of its properties, right? But what I mean in today's session is that we will continue with some more properties of DTFT and then we will go to DFT. Okay, so these are some of the properties of DTFT. I think in the last class we have studied nearly 5 properties. So here I am presenting all the properties together. So while studying, you just compare with last class, and when you see, you may come across some properties which are getting repeated. So you can avoid that, and you can learn only those properties which I have not mentioned in last class. Okay, so you can study either those 5 properties, or I think it's better you can follow these properties, because I have written all the properties together, nearly 11 properties. So I think it's better you follow this. Okay, depending upon the marks, if they have asked you to write any 5 properties, you can follow the last class portions, and if they are asking questions for more marks for DTFT properties, you can write this. So I think it's better you study this. Okay, so shall we begin? Now the one of the first property is linearity, which is very clear from this equations, that is DTFT of two sequences, say x1n and x2n, that is DTFT of their sum will be equal to the sum of their individual DTFTs, that is DTFT of x1n plus x2n will be equal to DTFT of x1n plus DTFT of x2n, which can again be written as x1 e raised to j omega plus x2 e raised to j omega. Next is time shifting. If dTft of x of n is equal to x e raised to j omega, then dTft of x in x n minus n0 will be e raised to minus j omega n0 x e raised to j omega. Here n0 is actually the shift applied. Next is time reversal. If dTft of x of n equal to x e raised to j omega, that will be same in all cases. Then dTft of x of minus n, that negative stands for time reversal, will be equal to x of e raised to minus j omega. Next is convolution. If dTft of x of n is equal to x of e raised to j omega, and if you have another sequence, say y of n, then the dTft of y of n is equal to y e raised to j omega, then the convolution which is represented of g e raised to j omega will be equal to the dTft of the product of x of n into y of n, which is again equal to x e raised to j omega y e raised to j omega. Next is frequency shifting. If dTft of x of n is equal to x e raised to j omega, then dTft of e raised to j omega 0 n x of n will be equal to x e raised to j omega minus omega. So next is time multiplication. If dTft of x of n is equal to x e raised to j omega, then dTft of n, an integer, multiplied with x of n will be equal to minus z d by dz of x of z, where z is equal to e raised to j omega. Next is modulation. If dTft of x of n equal to x e raised to j omega, that particular sentence will be same in all cases. Okay. Then dTft of x of n cos omega 0 n will be equal to half x of e raised to j omega minus omega plus omega 0 plus half x into e raised to j omega minus omega 0. Next is correlation. If dTft of x of n equal to x e raised to j omega and dTft of y of n equal to y e raised to j omega, then the correlation, that is dTft of x of n into y of n will be equal to x e raised to j omega into y e raised to minus j omega. Multiplication of sequences. If dTft of x of n equal to x e raised to j omega and dTft of y n equal to y e raised to j omega, then multiplication is given by half of y e raised to j omega into x e raised to j omega. Next one, differentiation in frequency domain. If dTft of x of n equal to x e raised to j omega, then d by d omega, omega stands for frequency, so d by d omega of x e raised to j omega will be minus j dTft of n x of n. Next is Parseval's theorem. If dTft of x of n equal to x e raised to j omega and dTft of y of n equal to y e raised to j omega, then Parseval's theorem states that summation from n from minus infinity to plus infinity, x of n y of n will be equal to half integral from minus pi to plus pi x of e raised to j omega y into e raised to j omega d omega. So this is a little bit important. So I have provided the proof also here. Proof is very simple. You can follow it. See, the half of minus integral from minus pi to plus pi, and inside the bracket we have written the summation over sigma n from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n e raised to minus j omega n, so into y of e raised to j omega d omega. That is again equal to, here what we do is we take this x of n outside, so that becomes summation n from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n 1 by 2 pi minus infinity to plus infinity y into e raised to j omega e raised to minus j omega d omega. So from how you got this equation means, from this equation we have taken xn outside as well as e raised to minus j omega also outside, then you will get this. So when I replace this xn with yn, in place of yn we can write xn, so that becomes summation n from minus infinity to plus infinity x of n modulus square equal to 1 by 2 pi integral minus pi to plus pi x of e raised to j omega the whole square d omega. Okay. So next is the advantage of DTFT. DTFT is usually, I have already told in last class, it is mainly used for the design of filters, which we will learn in the later sessions, and its applications and all I have already told. So here the advantage is that suppose that our input is signal is defined in the interval from n tending from minus infinity to 0, or it is defined in the interval from minus infinity to plus infinity, then in such cases we can apply this DTFT theorem for analyzing the signals in time domain. That is, what we do is, first of all, suppose that you have a input signal defined for the range n tending from minus infinity to n plus infinity. Then what we do is that we multiply that particular sequence by the DTFT of h of n to get the DTFT of the output y. Okay, HFN is actually the impulse response, which I have already told you, and in class 3, that is in the titled frequency, discrete frequency spectrum and frequency range. Please go to refer class 3. Okay, so that output will be y e raised to j omega equal to x e raised to j omega h e raised to j omega. Then if we take this IDTFT, that is if we take the inverse discrete time Fourier transform of this particular equation, that is this particular equation, you will get the output y of n. So this is one of the advantage. So if your input sequence ranges from n from minus infinity to plus infinity, in order to find the output of such a sequence, you can apply DTFT theorem. And now this relationship, that is y e raised to j omega is equal to x e raised to j omega h e raised to j omega, offers a great advantage, especially in the design of digital filters. Now this h e raised to j omega also I have already discussed in class 3, and it actually stands for the frequency response of the system. Okay, now in the case of filters, that is if we want to eliminate a particular frequency, or if we want to eliminate a range of frequencies in the input signal, then we can design a filter in such a way that magnitude of this particular h e raised to j omega, that is frequency response, is very small at these frequencies or over a particular range of frequencies. So that will become the stop band, that is there will not, that such frequency or range of frequencies will not be allowed. Now the magnitude of h e raised to j omega, or frequency response at all other frequencies, will be maintained, and that is they will be made available, and they will constitute the pass band. So we can stop the unwanted frequencies and we can pass the wanted frequencies by using the theory of DTFT, especially in the construction of filters, and the such filters will get an improved quality of information. Now that's all about DTFT. So study what is DTFT, its application, advantages and properties. Now coming to another transform, which is called discrete Fourier transform, or DFT. It is an important discrete transform used to perform Fourier analysis. That is, it can be used to analyze any signal over time that is discrete, such as pressure of sound wave, radio signal, etc. As the name indicates, DFT is purely discrete. That is, discrete time data sets are converted into discrete frequency representation. That is, if we have got n DFT coefficients, the number of multiplications will be n square, whereas number of additions will be n into n minus 1. N is actually stands for the length of that particular sequence. Now DFT is also used to solve partial differential equations. So this is a definition, that is DFT is a transform that deals with a finite discrete time signal and a finite or discrete number of frequencies. Now DFT is a practical extension of DTFT, which is both discrete in time and frequency domain. Now we know that DTFT is periodic with period 2 pi radians. So if we have a discrete time sequence, say x of n, with n ranging from 0 to n minus 1, then this DTFT can be used to divide that particular sequence, that is divide the frequency interval of that sequence into n number of points, and what we get after that will be DFT, defined as x of k is equal to x of omega, that where frequency omega ranging from 2 pi k by n equal to summation from n from 0 to n minus 1 x of n. That small x of n is actually the discrete time sequence, and that is e raised to minus j 2 pi n k by n, where k ranging from 0 to n minus 1. So now the inverse DFT is given by x of n equal to 1 by n sigma k from 0 to n minus 1 x of k e raised to j 2 pi n k by n, just the inverse of this particular, which you already know, n ranging from 0 to n minus 1. So if we have a discrete time sequence, and by applying this DTFT, we can divide that the frequency interval of that discrete time sequence to get, so as to get DFT. Now DFT is mainly used for numerical computation in digital signal processing. It is used for spectrum analysis, fast convolution, and it is also used in part because it can be computed very easily using FFT or fast Fourier transform algorithms, which we will study later. So DFT transforms n samples into same number of discrete samples. So it is mainly used to solve, DFT is mainly used to solve partial differential equations. Then it is used for numerical computation in digital signal processing. Then it is used for spectrum analysis, fast convolution, and it is also very easy to calculate DFT by using FFT algorithms. Okay, next one is the last one is the advantages of DFT. So one thing is that it actually maintains time sequence xn and frequency response x of k as finite vectors. They are considered as finite vectors. Then both this DFT and its inverse, that is inverse DFT, are both finite sums, so that it will be very convenient to program them on computers and microprocessors. Next is the time frequency relation, that is the delta omega equal to 2 pi by n delta t, and that is very practical in the case of DFT applications. This particular relation is very important in practical applications of DFT. Here, for a given endpoint DFT, that time frequency relation is given by this delta omega equal to 2 pi by n delta t. Here delta t is the sampling time interval and delta omega is the DFT output frequency interval. Okay, now the last point is that the concept of time shift in DFT is definitely circular, is defined circularly, which is very easy to implement. So the time shift in DFT is mentioned in a circular manner, that is circular time shift, so that is very easy to implement. So that's all about the DFT. In your syllabus there is a topic that is definition for DFT. So I have mentioned that what is DFT, some of its advantages, and some of its applications, and how it is represented and all. So please go through it. And about the properties of DFT, which is another session in your syllabus, we will study in the next class. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you.